This video presentation shares a brief historic and current-day overview of marine pilotage in Maine as part of Maine Maritime Museum's 2015 Mariners Award celebration, honoring Maine's maritime pilots and the commissions that oversee them. The Maine Pilotage Commission and the Port of Portland Board of Harbor Commissioners for their extraordinary contributions to Maine's and the nation's maritime commerce and safety. The work of maritime pilots is one of the most challenging and demanding of careers, and it has been so for centuries. Local waters are all very different, and it's there where ships are most likely to run aground or collide. It is impossible for captains sailing ships to ports around the world to be thoroughly knowledgeable about local ports, which speaks to the importance of the pilot's role in safe navigation. Homer's Iliad, Virgil's Aeneid, and the Bible contain some of the earliest references to the position of a pilot when shipmasters hired local fishermen to guide their ships into port. In the early years of the United States, it was in 1789 when pilots were recognized by the First Congress of the United States as critical to the nation's commerce. Pilotage regulation was left to the individual states until the federal government saw fit to determine otherwise. In 1837, the first federal pilotage law was enacted by Congress and was followed by almost 50 years of growing opposition and anti-pilotage bills, sponsored primarily by the New England states. The most contentious and persistent opposition came from congressmen from the state of Maine, particularly around the notion of compulsory pilotage for sailing vessels. The coastwise sailing ship trade was very prosperous, and the congressman's reasons had largely to do with reducing the cost to schooner owners. By the 1840s, the Industrial Revolution and railways brought world trade to a whole new level. Shipping was increasing, and piloting developed into the more organized service as we see today, with the establishment of licenses for piloting with strict competence standards. All pilots are initially licensed to pilot individual waters by the U.S. Coast Guard. However, the employment of pilots, their state license, which is given after a regulated apprenticeship, and their fees are functions of individual bodies. In Maine, the controlling body is the Maine State Pilotage Commission for all ports in Maine except for Portland, where it's the Port of Portland Board of Harbor Commissioners. The major pilotage associations are Eastport and Quoddy Pilots for Eastport and Environs, Penobscot Bay and River Pilots for the Penobscot Bay and Environs, including Bar Harbor, and Portland Pilots for Casco Bay and Environs. Bath Iron Works maintains a pilot for its needs on the Kennebec River. Pilotage is compulsory for all foreign vessels and U.S. vessels under register in the foreign trades drawing more than 9 feet of draft. When a merchant or naval vessel enters or leaves a United States port, among other flags it may be flying, it will fly the hotel or H flag, which means, I have a pilot on board. Pilots are advisors to a vessel's captain and bridge navigation team, and while they are not in command of the vessel, they are in direct control of the vessel's movements while aboard. Pilots know the geography of the harbor, weather conditions and seasonal patterns, local tide and current conditions, safe anchorages, and the various berth and pier configurations of the harbor. As a ship handler, a pilot understands how ships operate and react in the physical environment, as well as how they operate mechanically. This includes knowledge of steering systems, hull configurations, and propulsion systems. Marine pilots may have different specialties. A coastwise pilot navigates vessels along the coast. A harbor or bar pilot navigates the vessel from the sea buoy to off the dock, and a docking or mud pilot docks the vessel. There are also river pilots who navigate major rivers. The function of a pilot is extremely important to U.S. foreign commerce, as 90% of U.S. foreign trade arrives or leaves on ships, and it's the pilot who safely guides them into and out of ports. To a ship owner, the vessel is not making money when she is not moving. Therefore, a fast and safe transit is required of the pilot. Pilots must be available when the vessel arrives and board her in all kinds of weather. In the state of Maine, we see just about every type of vessel. Almost all of our liquid and bulk cargo arrives by ship. This includes heating oil, crude oil, jet fuel, salt, gravel, and food. Searsport handles bulk and project cargo, and Eastport handles general cargo and paper products. Portland has seen a recent resurgence of freight line services with the Icelandic steamship line Eimskip, making Portland its East Coast base, and the return of mega cruise liners. A pilot's work can be treacherous and nerve-wracking in certain situations. Piloting can also be a lot of fun. It is a great pleasure for Maine Maritime Museum to honor our state's marine pilots as our 2015 Mariners of the Year. To all of Maine's pilots and the commissions that oversee them, we thank you for your devotion to the preservation and protection of lives, property, the environment, and vessels entering or leaving state waters at the highest standard of efficiency.